Yep. So we can talk about your favorite
So-
Simba character now.
No, I don't have a Siva character. Hi, I'm Ramya,
I'm Aswant.
and you're listening to an episode of Let's Talk Tamil Movies. Today we're going to talk about our favorite movie character.
Start off with your favorite movie character.
I'll start with mine then. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so my first favorite character is Nilambari from Padiyappa.
Ooh.
Obviously, she's going to be the
Yeah.
first character I mentioned, played by Ramya Krishnan in Padiyappa. I think the movie came in like 1999. Anyways, she wasn't the antagonist of the film. Like, she was one of them. There was a lot of
Yeah.
antagonists in the movie, but she was a very dominant person. So I feel like you kind of paid attention to her. The favorite things about her was that she's a female character that kept up to Rajini and Rajini's character. Whether it was like in the beginning when like you see her singing, but she's like driving in a car and like she sits in front of him while he's standing, as things that you'd want Rajini to do, but you see her doing it, but you don't question it. You're kind of like, oh yeah, she has that attitude. She's there, so she's doing it. So she's very dominant. She doesn't make the film easier. Does that make sense? Like the storyline doesn't get easier. She's always making it harder for everybody.
Yeah.
But that's because she wants everything. And if you think about it, she's basically like Rajini. If he wants something, he's gonna get it. Only thing is she's seen in a negative light because not only did she want something she can't get, she started destroying other things
Yeah.
so that it wouldn't happen. So she was basically sabotaging just because she couldn't get it.
Part of it is because I think we haven't really seen many super dominant female characters either in movies,
Yeah,
right? So, and I wonder, especially for that time, that's a big thing. And
exactly.
even when you think about it now, you wouldn't really say, I've seen someone as dominant as Nilambari in like Tamil cinema.
They spent a lot of time on this character in this movie.
She had a lot of screen time, yeah.
I think she had more than the actual heroine of the film.
Yeah, probably.
If you like, but yeah, I think she made the film.
Wait, what? Around what time did that movie come out? Was it 99?
I want to say 99. Yeah, 99. And I think she took a break from like Tamil cinema and then she
Yeah.
came back and this was her first film.
Well, the first character I'm gonna talk about is from around the same time. It's Basha, but one of the main reasons is because first few characters who, like, you know, when you watch movies nowadays, they basically try to copy the Basha character. So he's someone who used to be a gangster or like some guy who beats up rowdies or whatever. And then because of some kind of event, he ends up having to put that in his like past and become a less of a big guy. So like, hey, he becomes auto driver. I like how he does all of this in this movie for his family and stuff, and the way they show it is good too. Yeah, the main reason I like the Bosch character, is because he was one of the first few characters who had like this kind of story. And plus, I know it has like loads of cheesy dialogue and scenes,
exactly.
but the Rajini that like we saw, as obviously we weren't born at that time, but still, it was like when we watched it when we were slightly younger.
It worked for that time. Let's just say that it worked for that time.
This is one of the examples where, you know, the villain has to be kind of big to make the hero look big. And here, that's exactly what happened. Ragu, they showed him as like a really evil villain or whatever, so it made Rajini seem like a really good gangster guy, a big gangster.
My second character, before I even mention this person, I want to say that ethically, morally, this person might not be right. So it's Vinayak from Mangata. So this is played by Ajit. He's a police officer who got suspended. And throughout the movie, you kind of see how intelligent he is as a character, but how cunning he is as well. And I think that was played well. Like, never in the movie did you think that, oh, this character is dumb, but you knew that whatever he's doing wasn't right. Yeah, like the personality traits, the characteristics shouldn't be praised, but without those, the film wouldn't have been as great, in my opinion. So from the start, like you see not following what a normal cop would do. So like starting off with like, shooting the first scene basically
Yeah.
was him shooting another cop. Like
Yeah.
that itself just got to the point right away. Okay, this guy's doing something shady. What else is there? And there's no backstory. Like they didn't even explain why he became like this, which
Yeah.
was good for the movie. But it was kind
Because
of
they
like,
didn't need to, right? That's
yeah.
that's probably part of
Which one of my favorite parts of the whole movie was when he starts thinking up about scenarios of how this plan could go, and he like kind of like stops himself where he knows he's kind of going extensive. Like he knows
Yeah.
like, okay, that's not realistic, and that's when it's like, okay, he knows, he's smart enough to know that like some things are not going to happen the way you want, and he's always a step ahead. Even with the whole planning, when those guys were figuring it out, he knew about their plan, was like, oh, I'm gonna act like I'm one of you guys too. Even how the movie ends, you usually don't see a character this different from everybody else. You don't see it in this perspective either, and I thought that's why I like this character. Oh, and one of my favorite parts were that he kept acting like he was a chill guy and he doesn't care, but then when they started stealing, he got like super serious and would flip out. He'd be like, the character goes from he really is invested in this coming through so that he doesn't have to be like whatever he doesn't want to be anymore.
And one thing I liked about, usually for movies, we wouldn't really root or want the negative character to win or like get whatever he wants. But in this
Yeah.
movie, even though he's like he has a negative like shade to it, the people still want him to win or him to like get the money or whatever. So it was a good. Yes, I like how they showed it as well. So
Which is why I was like, I'm not sure if I can say this is my favorite character, but when you're watching the movie, you genuinely like him.
they didn't change the character just because of the like love story or whatever.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
made sure
true.
the character is the character throughout the movie. So I like that too.
Yeah, so I guess he was very, ethical to his morals. Like he was always
Yeah.
making sure whatever he really, yeah, I guess, yeah. And I think the movie did really well too. So hats
Yeah.
off to Ajit on that one.
But he did do a couple of, I don't know, maybe two or more negative kind of characters. Like in Arambam, he kind of has a negative kind of shade as well, right?
Yeah, and
If
like
you
Billa
remember,
too. I feel like in Billa he didn't talk and you didn't see his planning and you didn't see his scheming,
yeah.
but this you kind of like see you kind of see it. By the end of the movie you recognize you don't actually see any of it.
I was thinking of a Samantha character, but then I realized all I could say is she's pretty. So I'm going to go for this one is probably the most basic character, but it's Raghuvaran from Velayla Pattatari. And you probably was
Whoa.
expecting me to say just because he's super relatable. That's number one. Number two, I like how he's like saying punch dialogues all the time and he just doesn't care and he's just like living life. And the thing is, this is like, I think one of the last few like I know Danish did similar characters to this before, but this is one of the. I think it might be the last one he did like that, right? But after that, he's been doing
Yeah.
different kind of movies. So this did big 25th movie for him. I know they did VIP too, but let's just pretend that didn't
No,
happen.
so wait. The only reason I reacted when you said Raghuvaran was because I actually had Raghuvaran the actor open
Oh,
up.
okay.
And I was like, "What? How did you see this?" But yeah. No, I actually understand why he would be a favorite character. Even with the punchlines, like some of his sarcastic comments to
Yep.
like conversations, it's realistic. Like,
Just him being carefree and he's on his lot, yeah, and the way he's carefree and
what do you I don't
all
know
of
if he's carefree though. I think he's
like
like
not the beginning
he's
where
stressed.
yeah.
Right? He's stressed that he doesn't have a job, but
Yeah,
like,
lost and all of that. Yeah,
yeah. So I don't think he's carefree. I think he's like genuinely concerned about his life, but he's
yeah.
just
He
kind of
just
like, ah,
pretends to. Yeah,
exactly. I don't care, but I really do care.
his character seems so cool. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't notice that he stopped doing actors like characters like this. He used to do a lot, a young guy, but now it doesn't happen.
I guess
But
he
I mean,
evolved as an actor too because there's only so much acting he can really like show, and then he
yeah,
has to do. different kind of movies to showcase his time. Okay, my third one. So I was thinking if I should do a Manmadan or Vallavan, but then I went for the opposite kind of character. It's Nalla Sivam
What?
and
From what movie?
from Anve Sivam. It's for
What?
like
You
the
chose
most
a
opposite.
Tamil character? What?
No, but this character, I like this movie a lot, and I like this character even more just because part of the reason is how like he changes. So you know how at the beginning his name is he called himself Nalla and protesting and doing shows and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
it's more about like he cares about other people, but it's more like it's more about him being young and liking that girl and blah blah blah. And then he like after that one incident, he changes, right? He starts calling himself Sivam as well. So it's I like how his character evolves. Like I know we don't. So they start the movie off as him being the older guy, and
Yeah.
then when Madhavan asks about his past, he tells him about how he became this character. And I like how they they showed why and how the character changed. Main part of it is Kamal's acting. He would say stuff that obviously he might not like the character wouldn't have thought it was funny, but he says stuff and then it ends up being funny because Madhavan's there as well.
His views were very different from even like Madhavan's character, but
Yeah.
the way he says it affects the way the audience gets it as well.
And I like so even though Madhavan's like kind of hating on him, he doesn't actually like hate him back, right? He ends up still
Yeah.
helping him. Yeah, so one of my favorite characters. And I wish they would do more movies so he has characters like this, but just like they say, the movie didn't get appreciated back then as much. So yeah, because I
Okay.
remember Sundar C saying in an interview how it makes him angry that people say, "Why aren't you doing another movie like Anvesivam?" It's you guys didn't appreciate it when I did, so why would I end up doing another one?
Exactly.
Yeah,
No, I get that.
he did
The
get
character,
nomination. Yeah. Oh, and I like how he adopts the dog and calls him his son.
yeah,
Yeah, and that was like I
I
was like,
love that.
wow. Yeah, it's good.
Especially when he buys him the toy, he's like, "Yeah, that's for my
Yeah.
son." And I'm like, "Yep, I love this." I literally avoided going first because I was like, I don't want to say a common character and you to be like, "Oh yeah, obviously." But third character is Senabadi from Indian, so he plays the older Kamal Hassan. This character is one of my favorite characters from a Shankar film. He has super strong morals, but a lot of Shankar's characters do. This one just goes to a whole other level with his morals and how he follows them. So I do feel like in the beginning of the film, you don't, not even in the beginning, you see him do these things and you're unsure as to why he's doing it. And then you see that one incident in the flashback and you kind of see how it's affected his perspective. And then
Yeah.
one of the things I liked about the fact that was that you usually don't see in Tamil movies where a veteran from war is reacting to how the world is now or the society is now. You usually see that in like other films. And I thought
Yeah.
that like, you got to see like someone who fought for something and then see it be taken for granted and he was just reacting to that. Maybe not the best way, but he was just reacting to that throughout the movie.
Usually we see like the younger perspective. Like it would
Yeah,
be one of the younger characters, but here they show the older.
exactly. So much older too. And yeah, I think he has very strong morals. He ended up, doing this crazy last going to a whole other level to make sure he deals with people that are not following the rules.
Yeah. And do you think you would still like the character in the sequel?
No, no, I'm sorry.
Wow, that's too quick.
No, because okay, so you have to remember he was that old, a movie that came out in let's say like 95, 96.
Yeah, so 24, yeah, years ago.
Yeah, so unless they're doing it like 2 years after that, then yeah, sure, I get that, but
He can't be, yeah, he won't be alive if
he can't
they
be here.
actually, yeah.
I don't know how it's gonna work now.
Because they need to, like, the thing is, they need to make it something that actually connects the two movies rather than just have something that just happens all these years later and
Exactly. But in the movie, he says
who come
Indian
back.
never dies or something like
Yeah.
that, right? So then obviously it has that possibility of being a sequel, which clearly is, but I just don't know how Shankar's gonna pull it off. But a lot of Shankar films, the way he finishes it off seems like there's a possibility for a sequel, even like Onion.
How 2.0 turned out,
I
I
didn't
don't know.
watch
I
two.
have my doubts.
Oh, oh, okay. I mean, I get it, but I just feel
But I
it
think they
had
did
more of a
2.0.
story,
Yeah, but I
right?
think
Like,
2.0 they just did it because they had the money. That was it. Well,
okay,
hey, if they have an actual good story, then yeah,
right.
it's worth it. So my next character is, you haven't watched Asuran, so you won't know, but someone, it's a
Right.
Sivasami. So Danish plays this guy called Sivasami, and the reason I like this character is how, so we see how he changed as a person because of certain events. Maybe I just like when they show stuff like that, but it makes it kind of realistic-ish because you kind of see why, how someone was before and then what happened to them, why they would change. It kind of would explain. So I don't really want to spoil the movie. I guess you had a whole year to watch it, so I can I'm not gonna spoil it entirely. Okay, so I like how, so these people who he knows die because of his actions when he was younger. So that makes him more of a sensitive person when he's older, and he has his priority when he's older is for his kids to be safe. Like usually in a movie that has like a hero, they would be, if he has kids, they wouldn't care. They would just be like pare, but they'll just beat up the bad guys, and yeah. But in this movie, he always cares about the consequences of his actions because of what happened when he was like in his 20s or whatever. The way they explain for how he is now makes a lot of sense, and the way the character reacts to stuff just seems believable, just because we know what happened to him, and why he's scared, and like they kind of show the emotions too. So and plus he does end up changing, but that's because he realizes he needs to change so his family can be safe. This was like a really
Yeah.
good. First, when they were said they were doing this movie, like after
Mhm.
Vada Chennai, I was like, why? They might as well just do the sequel. But now it
Yeah,
makes sense.
exactly.
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah, it was really good. And I
It's one of
think
those
yeah,
films that the character, you know how like some films where they show the past, I mean, sorry, the past and then the present and like why they're like this way, but
yeah,
it doesn't work sometimes for some movies. And I felt
yeah.
like this was one movie that did it really well.
And I think he does deserve a national award for this character, but whether he gets or not is another question. But I think he does deserve one just because of the way he portrays the character.
Character is Sivaji from Sivaji.
Wow, I didn't see that.
So Sivaji is played by Rajani, obviously. Plays it, I don't want to say he plays a different character from what he normally does, but for some reason this character was just better. Even if like in the beginning of the movie you see him be a genuine person, he wants to help the society, he wants to make things better, but the society was kind of playing with him and he didn't like it, so then he had to change to fit it, and still was the same genuine person, but he just kind of was different to certain people, right? If you think about like Annamala, he changed entirely. Like he didn't talk to his family. He just became like this huge businessman. But in
Yeah,
this, I felt like he was still same. He was making dumb jokes with Vivek. He was like still nice to Shreya, but
yeah,
when it came to like the villain and everybody, he was like a totally different guy. He didn't let them play with them, and I thought that's what I liked about it. He just stopped taking it, and he was like, "I'm gonna do something about this." The change. So obviously, like at one point of the movie is when he flips, and it's when he flips is when I start liking the character more.
yeah,
One of my favorite scenes is when he has all those papers in front of the income tax office and
yeah,
he's like messing around with the villain saying, I'm gonna go in, but I'm not gonna go in, and you see
yeah,
Vivek doing his stuff on the side, and I thought that was
yeah.
nice. Like it was somehow it's probably the peak of the movie, but you're still kind of like laughing about it because like Rajan, the character doesn't take it as seriously as he should be as well. Obviously, there were parts where it didn't make logical sense, like him beating up 30 men, more than 30 men who were bigger than him. But we accepted it because the movie was great and the character was very well developed.
Yeah, and I like how he says, like, he says all those dialogues and stuff that that you would expect from it, like a good, and it was like a comeback film, right? Compared to, so he
Yeah,
hadn't done that many movies around that time, and then he comes back with Shivaji and full on Rajini kind of movie, but the way
just more of this time. One of the things was like even in the beginning when before the change, like he's a funny guy, right? And he's still funny at the end, but it's not as it's acceptable. Like, oh, okay, he's just doing stuff.
I think
All
one
right.
of the reasons the character seems even like better is the music added so much to the character as well.
Yeah.
Like whenever they want to make it like a super like high point of the movie, they would add like all this crazy music, and it would make him look
Yep.
like even more cooler. But yeah,
Yeah.
just gotta
Yeah.
appreciate
For
A.R.
sure.
Rahman. One of the first few movies where like the opening scene for Rajini doesn't like involve him just like coming in and singing a song or
Oh
whatever.
yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I totally forgot that he just comes down like escalator, right?
No, no, no. So is the he comes out of the police jeep, right? Or whatever, and then they put him in jail.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. No, I thought you were talking about like his full on front face, but
Okay,
yeah,
okay, okay.
he's in the jail. Like you never see him in jail.
Sivaji, a
Like,
really cool character. My next one is because I talked about Asadan before, and the director was Martin. My character for this time is Martin from Melsa. See, I'm connecting the.
oh, okay. I was like, what? Okay. Okay. I get it.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So I like how I think this is one of my like most favorite Vijay characters from recent times, just because it was kind of a different kind of character for him. So far he's been doing like city guy kind of characters, while this one was kind of a
Yeah.
village kind of thing, and he was a wrestler. And like when you think about it, he didn't have a lot to do because it was just a flashback of him and then his son being born, and then
Yeah, but the
yeah,
flashback is what made it, right? Without the
yeah,
flashback, we'd have been like, oh yeah, whatever. But he was
yeah,
like, this character was the stronger character
yeah.
out of
Compared to
the
the other, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Even though
And
he got like the shorter time.
but I like how he stands up against the villain, and they had like some kind of comedy here and there with him, and
Yeah.
the old lady as well. So that was
Yeah.
cool. They made him look kind of like a guy from the village, and his Vijay did well in kind of showing that this guy's from a village. Sometimes people would play a village character, but it wouldn't seem that believable. Well, here, I think he did it really well, and he seems like Richie Martin is like a really likable guy in this movie.
He stands up for a good thing. He stands up for making this like their community specifically better, and you see how he not only reacts to it when it happens to his own family, he reacts to it when the city says it too.
Because before he's like, let's build a temple, and everyone goes
Yeah,
again. They're saying no, and then when he says, and then when he's like, nah, we need a hospital. That's like a bigger priority. Well, technically,
yeah,
they still had a temple, right? It was outside the hospital,
yeah. They
so they
just.
got. It's just that the doctors kind of screws them, but
I'm
yeah,
surprised that you didn't say S.J. Surya though. He did a pretty good job in this
yeah, yeah.
movie.
I liked his character too. He did a really. I mean, the movies he did around that time were
Yeah,
really
it
good.
just was
Yeah.
good.
So I guess Richie Martin is my favorite, but he should appreciate S.J. Surya too.
I actually kind of low key Rayapan from Diggle
Yeah.
than I did Metro. Rayapan was just like you didn't know what Rayapan was doing.
Yeah, and I remember Atlee did say in some interview how he would do a movie about Drayapan if he could, but I don't think he should. But you never
I
know.
wanted more time with that character than I did with what's his
Yeah.
name, Marcel.
So, any other characters you want to mention, or do you think this?
I want to mention actually Vivek from Sivaji.
Yeah.
He played comedy and a serious side character at the same time, and you don't see that often. You don't see that enough, actually. He did a good job of handling both of it, and I think it should be appreciated more.
Actually, I would say the same. No, I wouldn't say the same thing, but it's in Moonlit, Siva Karthikeyan's role. I just
Yeah,
found that I watched like the comedy scenes the other day, and I was like, this guy's hilarious in this movie. And even though the movie is like is not a comedy, but
Yeah.
it's just his scenes. He does like a really good job in saying his dialogues and stuff are super funny.
A lot of side comments from him, but he did a lot of side comments in every movie though.
The friends is Panditandiram.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I just love how
They were.
it's just amazing. Like they would say a word and somehow it would become a joke, like for the audience, and we just start laughing. How when Kamal introduces the girl to Maggie to the one of the guy's dads, or what? No, he's about to introduce his wife, and then she's
Yeah.
there, and she says her name is it Margadavali, alias Maggie, and Kamal says Maithili, and then
Oh,
she
yeah.
and they end up saying Margadavali alias Maggie alias Maithili, stuff like that. It's just fun, super funny. Okay, so those are our favorite movie characters. Do email us or tweet us your favorite movie characters and any movies that you would like us to talk about. Thank you for listening, and a new episode every Monday.